Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Fantasy Football Expo interview podcast. That gentleman beside me, smart guy, works for footballguys.com. We're going to talk to him. He's a lawyer too. He knows all about this stuff. He's going to help us decide on Ray Rice. Ray Rice. We already know about Ray Rice. How about Rashid Rice? We're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about Jordan Addison. But most importantly, we're going to talk about him, Football Guys, the poker tournament, and everything else that Football Guys is doing at the Expo this year. He's Drew Davenport. We're coming up next. We all know what happened to Ray Rice. That was a gift. That was an easy one. We got a video for that. Drew, welcome, brother. Good to have you here representing footballguys.com. One of my favorite sites. I tell Joe all the time. He's always like, hey, thanks for this. I'm like, Joe, you realize like I've been a subscriber to your site for like 20 some years. He's like, really? I go, yeah, go check your stat. Go check your thing. So yeah, and you have too. But you have the privilege of writing for them. You do also your auction brief, all kinds of great stuff. But most importantly, man, you are the legal ease of this fantasy football community. When anybody gets busted, arrested, whatever the case may be, you are the first man on Twitter to start helping us understand the process, what's going on. So we'll get to that in a few minutes, but just Drew, welcome. Introduce yourself and where you're calling in from, and then we'll get rolling.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man. Down here in little old Dayton, Ohio, but that's great for me because I'm only about 3.5 hours from the expo.
Yep.
So I get to drive up there every year, and we'll get into this later. But yeah, I've been coming for this is going to be year 6. Is
Yeah,
that right? Yeah.
2019, yeah. Because we
So,
kind of skipped 2020 for the,
right. Yep.
some weird thing happened. But
That's right. That's right. But yeah, pleasure being here. I'm excited to start talking about some stuff. And like you said, just blessed to be able to write for Football Guys and be a part of that great organization. So,
yeah, they're
man.
yeah, Joe Bryan, everybody there from top to bottom, just the best. I love them all. But Drew, let's take a few step back here. Let's go. Let's bring in our magic mirror. Where we look in the past. Let's talk about your beginnings in the fantasy football world. When did it start for you? Who pulled you into it? Was you kicking and screaming? Did you enjoy it? How'd that first year go? Tell us about the humble beginnings of Drew Davenport in fantasy football.
Yeah, I tell you what, I first started in law school.
Hmm.
And so this was 99, I believe, 98, 99. And some guy got me in, and we were just doing this online thing where it was like a salary thing where you pick
Oh,
your
okay.
team, whatever. And then if your team did well, their salary got bigger and you could afford better players, that kind of thing. I
Okay.
thought, okay, well, this is kind of fun. But then the next year, my buddy says, hey, well, I've got a league, but, show up. It's an auction. You do this and that. So the first team I ever drafted was actually an auction squad. So that's a little known fact. That's part of the reason I'm addicted to auction,
Yeah.
because one of those first years, I always talk about two players I got. I got Jeff Garcia for $1, and that was the year that he had like 35 touchdowns or something. And I got David Boston for $8, or was it $9? It was one of the two. And
Okay.
that was the year that he had like 1,500 yards and 8 touchdowns,
Yeah.
and blew up, and pretty much never did that again the rest of his
Him
career.
and Jeff Garcia
Yeah.
both disappeared.
Right. So I just like caught lightning in a bottle. And
Yeah,
I'm
you did.
convinced the fantasy gods out there somewhere were like, hey, we can hook this guy. Just let him have this little
Yeah.
bit of. So yeah, I didn't win the league, but my first couple of years I had these amazing like deals that I got, and it just hooked me. So, I started out with auctions. I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah. I'm 100% auction for everything, but it takes so much time.
Hmm.
But it's so great. I mean, we do the auction at the King's Classic, and I tell everybody that is my favorite draft, hands down, every
Hands down.
because one, we have real auctioneers, which was fantastic. But it's just that intense of somebody going to go the extra buck? Are they not? And all of these are super smart people. I mean, it's I'm always, I'm sure you are too. You're kind of like why am I here? But but we've got Marcus Grant, Pat Fitzmaurice, JJ Zachariason, Matt Kelly, oh gosh, Doug Orth, Mauricio Gutierrez, Nate Markham, Nate Polvol. I mean, it's just top name people. And there is no such thing as a bargain or a flyer or a sleeper. You're not sneaking anything past anybody, unless you just get lucky like David Boston or Jeff Garcia. Every
Right.
once in a while, I think it was 2 years ago. It wasn't this past year; it was a year before when I got Raheem Mostert for $5, and
Oh, and he
he
went
had a big
off.
year
Yeah.
for Miami, and then I still lost in the playoffs, but it doesn't matter. That was about the only. That has to be the only guy I can think of that I was just like, oh, okay, and everybody kind of paused because we really didn't know what to expect out of him that year. But yeah, he has a big year, but so much
It's
fun to do an
it's
auction.
an incredible auction room just because not only is the knowledge there, there's quite a few guys who have done a lot of auctions.
Right.
So that not only is the knowledge there, but then the auction skill levels there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you combine that all with the fact that we're starting so many position players. And we're
Mm-hmm.
starting 10 position players.
Yeah.
And no kicker, no D, 10 position players. You're starting 140 guys every week. And that just makes it, that's how it should be. It separates the best from the best, and that's how it's got to be.
Definitely, definitely. So obviously you started, like you said, 1999, 1998. You've
Hmm.
moved forward now. You've moved into footballguys.com. Talk about that experience. Talk about when you started there. Everything that's great about football guys, because they are certainly one of the best out there. Love them a lot, but yeah, talk about that experience you've had with them.
Yeah. Well, it was really organic. And I always tell people that ask me how I got the job that I got really lucky. I mean, and that's one of those things where you just have to have that sort of lightning in a bottle moment.
Hmm.
And I started a Twitter account just because I wanted to follow people on Twitter and get fantasy advice, following guys like Sigmund Bloom and those kind of
Hmm.
guys. And then I started just saying, "Hey, I got some knowledge here. I've been doing this 25 years or 20 years at the time.
Hmm.
Like, just start throwing some stuff out there." And then the Tyreek Hill case came around, where he was accused of, having hit
Push his
his
girlfriend down the steps.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then breaking his son's arm, and we didn't know what happened with that. And I said, I think everyone's missing something here. And that's that there's a lot of work product that gets produced as a result of investigating these things. Something's going to leak. So I just
Hmm.
put that out on Twitter. Turns out this is really funny, and I got a knock on wood here because that was the first case that I ever wrote an article for Football Guys, and I'll come back to how that happened. But I ended up being flat wrong because I said, "Hey, this is going to leak somehow,"
Right.
and he had a role in this, and the NFL is going to take this stuff that leaks and they're going to suspend him, and I think it's going to be a problem for him. Well, little did I know, and I would have no way of knowing this, but little did I know his judge had agreed to seal all the records in the case because it
Hmm.
involved a juvenile. And so the NFL got nothing. And they couldn't do anything because they were like, we don't know anything. Nobody will talk. Everything's sealed. Anyway, since then, I haven't missed anything. I've been actually
Yeah.
I've been waiting to miss something because I've been so accurate. Something I've got to miss something. So it's
You've been
coming.
nailing them. I know
But
that.
but yeah. But anyway, so Joe just reached out. He saw the thread. He reached out to me on Twitter and DM'd me and said, "Hey, we need a legal guy. We need an auction guy. You seem to be both. Let's
Yeah.
do it." And of course, I said yes on the spot, and that was back in 2019.
Awesome stuff. Yeah. And then you have your own podcast called The
Mhm.
Auction Brief. Talk a little bit about that as well. That's definitely a must listen to, folks, if you're getting ready for auction drafts.
Yeah, and the auction brief was again organic. It was just one of those things where it's like I didn't feel like I was getting to say enough at Football Guys. Not
Hmm.
that they were muzzling me, just that I wanted to say more. I wanted to have
Yeah.
more of a platform.
Mhm.
So I decided to start the show all on my own. Had no idea what I was doing. I just reached out to some of the biggest names I knew on Twitter. And to their credit, and this is something I always say about the fantasy community, it's why I encourage people on my show to come to the expo. I say,
Hmm.
hey guys, if you're listening, just come to the expo and hang out because everybody's so nice. I
Yeah.
had never uttered a word on my own podcast, and guys like Marcus, uh, um, Matthew Berry, Mike Tagliere,
Hmm.
and all these guys, they just said yes. They didn't ask me how long I've been doing it, nothing. They just said yes. And I had never, and I was like, oh my God, now I actually have to do this. So, but it's auction focused. I talk a little bit of legal stuff, but I have a guest on every week where we do player centric stuff as well. So we kind of hit it all. It's a one stop shop, I like to think, for preparing for your drafts. If you don't get into the auction stuff, no big deal. Fast forward me and listen to the
Right.
guests that I have on. Having Rich Rebar on this week and had Marcus Grant last week. So
Yeah.
you're always going to learn something.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely one of the best out there, folks. Yeah. And like you said, best guest as well. So let's talk about football, guys. They have been part of the expo outside of the 2019. I don't think they made it that year. At least didn't have a booth and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
since 2021, Joe and everybody comes. It's a family reunion for football guys. I think you guys have a big dinner one of the nights
Hmm.
together at one of the local Italian restaurants, good friends of mine, the Toesies. And it's just been a family reunion. Joe and you guys just bring what you guys do best, which is your personality, your knowledge. It's great. You guys get the corner. I call it the corner office at the VIP. Not everybody takes the last VIP booth, but it's that corner, and everyone knows it's a football guy's corner. I won't even think about anyone taking that unless I get Joe's approval that like he's not going to, but never failed yet. So talk about the football guys at the expo and just what a great group of
Yeah.
people and all the great stuff that you guys do when you do come.
Yeah. Well, when I first started out, it was just, I was the only presence here for the Kings Classic.
Yeah.
And then the expo started to grow, and I'm like, Joe, this is something we ought to think about because there's a lot of people coming, and this is now becoming that weekend where it's networking.
Hmm.
It's become a much bigger thing than it was, in 2019. So let's think about it. And then they jumped in with both feet. And one thing
Hmm.
that I always say about Joe is he can be Joe can be like, and I'm not putting anything on Front Street here, I promise, but behind closed doors, so to speak, around the football guy's water cooler, he can be, a straight up, straightforward businessman. This is how we do it. This is how we're going to be successful, and this is the way it goes. He's not mean, but he's like, hey, I'm a businessman. I know what to do. But then
Hmm.
on the other side of it, Joe has this side where he understands that community is what this is all about.
Right.
And so that's what he's building. He's not just building his organization, he's building a community. And then when he comes to something like the expo, I think that just kind of oozes out of him and his family and the people
Hmm.
that he brings. And like I said, I always say that I'm proud to be part of it just because I think that the way that he approaches things is just that's the way I want people to be. And I think
Hmm.
98% of the fantasy community is like that. That's why I've had
Agreed.
so much fun at the expo because now with our presence there, and then of course I know we're going to talk about the icebreaker here in a little bit, but
Hmm.
just our presence there continues to kind of grow and just sort of be cemented there. That's super fun for me. And I just can't say enough about Joe, the organization, and our involvement there. It's just been amazing.
Yeah, no, you guys have been great. And like you said, Joe, I see him all the time at FSGA in addition to the expo. And, he's always been so, thoughtful and kind words about what we're doing there and what's been going on. And I always just turn around and go, well, it's because you're one of the big parts of this.
Hmm.
I always say this, the expo, the whole weekend doesn't exist without the big deals. I mean,
Hmm.
and football guys and FTNs and CBS Sports and Yahoo's and all these people that have sent their biggest names to this event.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't show up, they ain't coming to see me and you, Drew. I love you, brother, but they ain't coming to see me and
I have
you.
no delusions about that.
We help, we have fun, and we're part of the group. But yeah, they ain't coming to see us. There are a few. I think I have ones of fans out there that will probably disagree. But
I have at
anyway,
least 4 of them.
yeah, right. At least four. Yeah. So, as you mentioned, let's talk about the thing that you started. And
Mm-hmm.
what a great event it's been. Every year, this thing sells out. It's such a success. It's a great icebreaker. It just gets everybody together, gets people fired up to get started. It's part of the weekend,
Mm-hmm.
kind of the unofficial official kickoff. We always say it's the Friday night party, but the people
Right.
who play in the poker tournament, your
Yeah.
icebreaker, they know what really kicks off the weekend. But talk all about it. Talk about the idea, how you came up with this, and how we kind of worked together to, and then you just kind of took the ball and ran with it, and now it's been a huge success and a sellout every year.
Yeah. Well, it's evolved a little bit from the first year because my original thought was, hey, we get all these people together. I really thought there would just be a poker game that broke out at some point during the weekend because I have
Right.
all these friends that play.
Mm-hmm.
Ian Hartitz and Rich Rebar and Chris Allen. Those guys all play poker all the time. We
Mm.
get together here in Southwest Ohio and play sometimes as well. And I thought, well, why don't I just make this an event? Everybody can come. One of the things I didn't think about, I got some advice from Scott Fish about it initially, was you can't run a poker tournament without being a licensed, casino. I had to
Wow.
get around that.
Yeah.
Yeah, stupid laws. I mean, but Scott, the first thing he said was just make sure there's value for the ticket that's beyond playing in the poker tournament.
Right.
So that's kind of where we started. That's been the jumping off point. But we come to realize in the past couple of years that it's best run as a charitable event. So that's what
Mm-hmm.
it is now. All the
Yeah.
prizes are donated by football guys, and then we take a portion of the buy-in to buy food, and then we donate to charity. So
Mm-hmm.
we always donate to a local domestic violence shelter here in Dayton that I've worked closely with over my
Cool.
24 years here in Dayton. So that's a big deal. But when we first started, I messaged you and I'm like, hey, what do you think? And you're like, well, Friday afternoon is wide open. And so that's kind of the genesis. We start at noon on Friday, and we
Mm-hmm.
call it the icebreaker because, like you said, the official kickoff is Friday night when everybody goes to the party. But
Mm-hmm.
you can come in, I think the best way to hang out with the football guys, Clayton Gray will be there, Joey Wright will be there, Joe Bryan will be there, his
Right.
family. There's a lot of football guys that come to that event. If you want to hang with some of the football guys, you come to this opening event. But also, the prizes have continued to escalate because once I got the infrastructure of the tournament in place, the poker chips, the table, the cards, all that stuff, all that I don't have to spend that now.
Right.
So I can spend it on the prizes. And I tell you what,
Mm-hmm.
I just got done. This is exciting because I just got done ordering this like 2 nights ago. So I can say it here for the first time
All right.
that I got a Jameer Gibbs autographed powder blue jersey,
Oh,
authentic, right from Fanatics. I've got a CeeDee Lamb autographed,
oh,
already framed. That baby's already
I
framed.
can't. I can never play in this thing.
I
That's
know,
Sanger's me.
I know, and then we've got a Brian Thomas Jr. autographed football. We've
Jeez.
got a Justin Jefferson autographed helmet, and
Wow.
then we've got a Jamar Chase mini helmet already in its own little like case, like display case. So that's the memorabilia we're giving away. On top
Wow.
of that, we do give away Football Guys subscriptions as well as
Yep.
Football Guys merch. So the way that it works is you do get win some of those prizes for making the final table at the
Mm.
poker tournament.
Okay.
But then we also always have a raffle
Nice.
where if you buy a ticket, it's $50. I know that seems
Mm-hmm.
like a lot, but the $50 gets you all you can eat pizza and wings, and then a portion of that goes to charity, and then you get entered in the drawing, and the drawing will be for the Justin Jefferson autographed helmet.
Nice.
So we always just try to say, hey, you don't have to play poker to come. And if you don't want to spend the $50 and you don't care about winning the helmet and don't want
Mm-hmm.
to play poker, you can still show up. It's at the M Bar. And I
Mm-hmm.
know you're having another event at the M Bar too, but this is a cool place. And you
Mm-hmm.
can just pay $10 at the door. You can eat the food, and that $10 goes straight to charity. All $10 of that goes to charity.
Perfect.
And so we were able to raise over $800 for charity last year, give away some really cool prizes. We gave away
Yeah.
Jefferson jersey, Chase jersey, stuff like that last year.
Right.
So the tournament is, it's the main draw, but it's not the only thing. And so if you're in town on Friday afternoon, that's where people are, and you can just
Mm-hmm.
come in, and you'll get more one-on-one time with the football guys there than in a lot of places, because it's so crazy on Friday and Saturday night. Sometimes, Joe pops in and you don't even see him, but you'll get
Right.
some time to bend his ear if you want to see Joe.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been the draw for me too. But yeah, so great event. I love having it. We're stoked to be back. There's only little over 20 seats left for
Yeah.
the tournament. So get in there. We're not even in July yet, and there's a little over 20 seats left.
Yeah.
You got to
I'm
get in
pretty
there if you
sure
want to join.
last year you were sold out by definitely July 15th. It might have even been
Mhm.
sooner. It might have been like July 4th.
We definitely were sold out. And actually, we're lagging a little behind last year, which I'm surprised. But July always heats up, and people realize they're going to be there, and
Yeah,
they buy their
usually after
tickets.
4th of July, everybody always goes, "Oh crap, we're a month from the expo," and then everybody buys tickets and runs and scrambles, and yeah,
Yep.
we're just so used to it. I don't even worry about it anymore. But
So there's always a chance at the end. There's 54 seats available. We
mm-hmm.
hold 52 for people to buy, and then we hold two back. And then, so if you didn't get your ticket, you can get in. There's a basically an auction for the last two seats, and all of that money goes directly to charity as well. So last year the two seats went for, I think it was $180
Mm.
for the two seats, and then that went straight to charity. So you
Beautiful.
have a last ditch effort if you don't get a seat, but it's cheaper if you buy it now.
Yeah,
I think there's like 22 seats left.
yeah. And just for everybody listening out there, on top of what everything that Drew said, but let me kind of take this a little extra to talk about everything that's happening at the M Bar slash Jersey. So, Jersey's is the sports bar that's right beside the M Bar. They are literally connected. They're the same owner. I know him. It is across the street from Holiday Inn. The Doubletree is sold out. So if you're listening and you haven't got your hotel yet, I highly, highly beg you to get rooms at the Holiday Inn, because the poker tournament's there. So the icebreaker's there on Friday. Draft night out is there on Saturday afternoon. They have moved from Brew Kettle to M Bar slash Jerseys so that they can have more leagues. And then the meet and greet with all the big names is Saturday from 6 to 7. And then the Saturday night party is also at those two bars. We are moving away from the stadium so we can get better drinks, better prices, better choices, better food, all the above. So that means 4 events. So other than Centennial on Friday, most everything else, and then of course Sundays at the Dome, but basically all of Saturday and Friday afternoon is at the M Bar and Jerseys. So get a hotel room at the Holiday Inn if you waited too long, and stay there. You can literally walk across the street. And so it's really a nice place. It's a nice hotel. They have their own bar restaurant themselves in there called the tap. I think it's called the 20 Tap House or 20 Tap Room. They have 20 taps of all kinds of different beers, craft beers on tap, and in their little restaurant bar. So it's really a cool place. I mean, yeah, it's not the DoubleTree. The DoubleTree has all of everybody else, but start your own party because some of us may be coming up there.
I
But
just
yeah,
stay at the
so folks,
DoubleTree for the
don't
cookies.
forget to do that. Don't forget to do that. So back to the expo, Drew. We talked a little bit. We've talked about the expo. We've talked about the poker. Let's talk about King's Classic. You've been in it, as you mentioned, since 2019 as a representative football guys. You and I have pretty much been in the same division for a while,
Mhm.
but then you moved up. You left me. No,
I
you
didn't
did.
move. No, no,
You're right,
sir.
you did. That was Doug. Never mind. So you're still in there with me,
I
right?
am.
That's
I
it.
am.
That's right. I moved down. My bad.
That's right.
I was
You're
gonna say you were
down.
there first.
That's right.
I failed one year and moved down, so I'm
Yes.
fine with that. But yeah, we've been together now a couple years drafting.
Mhm.
The Kings Classic. live at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Anybody who's coming to the expo, if you get a ticket, if you get one of the Hall of Fame tickets, you can buy one through the fan experience packages or just get one at the door. Come in, watch us draft. It's live on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. So if you can't make it, listen to the drafts live Saturday, August 9th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We do back-to-back snake draft, and then we do an auction draft. And so a lot of times they'll listen in on that. There will be analysts that'll be following both the drafts, telling you who's paying what for what position, what players. But it is a great listen. And if you miss it that day, they always have it on demand. So definitely take the time to listen to those, especially if you do either one of those, because you'll hear the values that are coming out of, the biggest names in the country at this point. So talk a little bit about that, your experience, what you have thought about it. I know you've won once, twice.
Twice.
You won back to back, right?
Back to back.
Back to back, just like Mauricio did, the bastard. Beat me
Yeah.
here. Anyway.
Well, yes, I had to pad my resume a little bit with the
Yeah,
back-to-back auction wins.
as you should.
I haven't. So I felt really comfortable in the auction room last year, but I'll tell you what, it was an adjustment because in 2019, I believe there was only 12 teams, and then
Right.
we moved to 14. And I'll tell you this, and I've told this story a million times, so stop me if you've heard it. But in 2020, we had to do it online,
Mm-hmm.
and we moved to 14 teams, and we also axed kicker and D that year.
Yeah, right.
So all of a sudden, we went from like a normal 12 team with kicker and D to a 14 teamer, 10 starting slots, no kicker, no D. And I didn't adjust very well auction wise. And I fully admit that to everybody. And I came out of that draft despondent. I just remember going upstairs, core memory I'll never forget. I walk upstairs, I sit down on the couch, my wife's like, "How'd it go?" And I'm like, awful. I don't know what the hell. I'm supposed to be good at this. And
I'm supposed to be good at this.
I did not do very well, man. I was really upset about it. I went on to win the league. Now
she did.
It's funny because my two best picks were Ezekiel Elliott and Tyreek Hill, and they stayed healthy.
Right.
In a 14 teamer, that's a large part of the game.
Right.
So I always say that was a little bit lucky. But what I didn't realize was when I went back and looked at everyone's teams, nobody adjusted well. Everybody spent too much too quick, and then everyone had a hole somewhere. And so as it's evolved over the years, I have made it a point to adjust, and I've gotten so much better. I left the last couple of years feeling really stoked about my team and just not having any holes in my lineup. But, it's such a tough room. When you play this format, you're going to have holes. Even if they're not in your starting lineup, your bench is going to suck. And it's just about like hitting on a couple of waiver wire guys. I mean, the guys who picked up Puka Nacua 2 years ago.
Last year I picked up Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's
like just, midway through the year, and he waltzed me into the playoffs. Of course, didn't do shit for me, but
right. Well, and I made all the wrong moves last year off the waiver wire, and that matters. I mean, I got slaughtered with injuries in the auction, and then my I mean, it was just I lost Rice and Olave and Taylor, and just it was bang bang bang. But that's neither here nor there. My goal this year is I just want to have a better team in the snake. I know that sounds funny as an auction guy, but I feel like the first couple of years I made the playoffs in the snake, and then didn't do anything. But I'm like, oh yeah, I can compete. I've been getting slaughtered in that snake room, and maybe I just don't do enough of it. And last year I just felt out of my depth, and my team was okay. And if it had stayed, I had a couple key injuries. Most of my team stayed healthy, and I still didn't do much. And I thought, man, I got to do better this year. So that's my goal. Having said that, a third auction title would be fun too. So we'll see.
One title of anything. I
understand. One. I feel fortunate to have one. I really do. The odds are not, good to have one, let alone two. So
last year I had one league. So I forget which one was which. I think it was auction. I was 13-1, and snake I was 12-2. Number one seed, both leagues, and lost and didn't even make the finals in either one.
Oh boy!
I mean, I remember you knocked me out of the one, and Doug Orth knocked me out of the other one. I think. But anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even make it to the finals. I was like, what? How
I
in the
know the
hell?
feeling. Know
But
the feeling.
it
Yeah,
is what it
you
is.
slaughtered me. I remember early on because I was 4-0, really rolling. All the injuries hit, and then I played you, and I had a pretty good week, and you had like 175 points.
Yeah, I had a couple
And
weeks where I had like 180 or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
had a pretty good week where I should have gone to either I think 5-1, and that would have paved the way to really probably making the playoffs. But that's what it comes down to in a 14 teamer. If you get a little bad luck, like with your schedule or injuries,
Hmm.
it's so hard. It's so hard. And so I feel fortunate to have a title like completely.
Yeah.
People ask me, and I'm like, it's a lot of luck, man. You got to get some luck. You
Yeah.
got to.
And if you've never played in a 14 team and you think two players don't make a difference,
Oh yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah,
sadly mistaken.
yep,
Because every time I do one, like you said, especially ours,
yeah,
and I'll do a bunch of mocks and I'll do a bunch of best balls, and I'm just like, oh yeah, these are easy. And then I get there and I'm like,
yep,
this is where that guy's supposed to be available. I'm gonna go. Why in the hell did he go 3 spots before that? Oh, it's because it's 14 teams,
yep. Yep,
and you
like,
just
why
have
am
to
I drafting
readjust your
Josh Palmer in
thinking.
the 7th round?
Yeah, well, and the other thing is too is one of the things we do again to make it harder is that nobody knows the draft order till you get there,
Right.
and then we draw cards and we pick our spots. It takes a few minutes, but I feel like that adds to the difficulty of the league. Like,
Yeah.
because if you knew you had draft three, pick three or pick eight or whatever, then you
You
prepare for it.
you just mock all summer, but yeah,
Yeah,
I like
right.
that.
And you kind of get a feel for it.
Yeah,
This, you walk in and you draw cards. And if you
yeah,
get the last, the whatever it is, the last card, the king, or maybe it's the ace. I can't remember. No, ace is first. And then if you get the two, I guess, yeah,
right.
you get the two, then you're stuck with whatever you're stuck with,
Yeah, yeah,
and you have to adjust. And like you said, it's all about adjustment. So anyway, but all right. Well, Drew, thank you so much for being a part of this. Anything else you want to share with the folks? First off, folks, go to thefantasyfootballexpo.com. Once you get there, if you haven't bought your tickets, you can get your tickets. But first thing you do is scroll down, find the poker tournament, the icebreaker, click on that button, and get your slot before they're gone because
yep,
they are going to go quick. Between this video and it being basically almost July 1st, they're going to disappear fast. I will guarantee it.
yep,
But do not miss it. If you can go, if you can get in there by Friday at noon and be a part of this, you're really going to enjoy it if you haven't done it before. We get so many repeats. The Chunkos, Daniel, and his brother Brian, I think.
yeah.
Um, you know, uh, so many people, and they come back year after year just to be a
Mhm.
part. I think part of that. As much as they love coming to the expo, they love going to your thing first. So definitely check that out. But Drew, tell everybody else where they can find you on Football Guys, Twitter, all the
Yeah,
socials.
yeah. Thanks, I appreciate that. I'm the fantasy football lawyer on TikTok, also the fantasy football lawyer Patreon, where I give out specialized auction advice, the Auction Brief podcast, and then of course all my writings over at Football Guys and my series about how to master your auction drafts is going to start here before too long on Football Guys, and then you can find me on Twitter, Drew Davenport FF. And I'm very active on there, and anytime you want to chat,
Mm-hmm.
DMs are open. I'm a pretty approachable guy, but maybe you'll come to Canton, hang out, have a
Hang out with
I'll
you.
if somebody listening to the show that I don't already of course know
Mm-hmm.
wants to come up and introduce themselves, I'll buy the first beers on me. So
There you
come
go.
out and hang out.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Before we go, are there any players right now, whether it's Jordan Addison, Rasheed Rice, whoever, that we should be concerned about heading into draft season?
Well, ish. How about that? Jordan Addison, I think he's going to see a suspension to start the season. I don't think it's going to be more than 3 games.
Yeah.
I think you can pretty much bank 2 or 3. I don't know exactly how that case is going to resolve. I don't want to get into all the details. That's not why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
But he does have a jury trial coming up July 15th. I don't think that's a coincidence because they report to camp, I think, on the 26th. So he wants to have that case over with. And
Yeah.
but I think he's going to end up, getting a 2 or 3 game suspension there. But you're getting a discount on him. I'm still in on drafting him because of the
Sure.
discount. He'll be there for the most important weeks. Rashee Rice, time marches on with no indictment. I think he's going to play the whole season. I don't think he's going to miss any time. There's nobody else I'm really that focused on right now.
Yeah.
People are flipping out about Shadur Sanders. The league's not going to do nothing about the speeding tickets.
Yeah.
And, if you're holding on to Isaiah Bond and Dynasty, you might be holding a while. That's about all I got.
All right. Once again, folks, Drew Davenport, footballguys.com. Thanks again, Drew, for being a part of this. Go to the fantasyfootballexpo.com. Get your tickets. Follow us on Twitter at the FF Expo. Also, Instagram. And I think we have a TikTok. Check it out. I think we do. And so check all that out. I'm Bob Lung with Fantasy Football Expo. We'll see you in August. And just in case you missed all that stuff I just said, check this out.
Thanks for watching. Lock in your 2025 football tickets now at thefantasyfootballexpo.com. Hit subscribe and check out one of these excellent at FF Expo videos next.